Forging into a brave new world in the 21st century may offer the thrill of creativity and innovation, but sometimes solutions can be found by simply revisiting collective values and dwelling deeply in the possibilities that present themselves. I like a trip down memory lane. When I reflect, sometimes I think, do I take action or do I simply check my attitude? The universal golden rule always applies: do unto others. Sometimes it's a struggle, especially for a personality like mine, that just wants to get the job done. But I know children learn from our example. So, golden rule. Childcare is a relationship. It works best as a respectful partnership. Literally, it's a child's access to a caring adult to meet their physical, social, and emotional needs while their parent is working. Parents have a choice of program, and there are many different kinds, ideally selected to reflect that family's values. And there should be many different kinds: co-op, Head Start, in-home, Montessori, nature education, because there are many different kinds of families. It's a relationship, but it's complex because it's informed by the vision of the organization, the policies and procedures of the sponsoring entity, and subject to governmental licensing regulation. But for the child, at its essence, it is a primary relationship with a nurturing adult. And to paraphrase MacDonald and Merrill, teachers have the ability to apply their deep aspect of self in the form of altruism, empathy, and emotional investment in the well-being of others. Teachers are amazing. As a population, they consistently perform above and beyond to well meet the emotional needs of not just young children, but their parents. Last spring, a parent put a Post-it note in the lobby of the Child Care Center, stating that their child's teachers were their family's everything. The family was newly working through an understanding of their toddler's neurological differences and some developmental delay, and their teachers held them all the way through this diagnostic process, checking in with them at night and even calling them on the weekend. I took a picture of that note. It lives in my phone. The partnership is so beautiful. The raw feeling of appreciation. So, my team gets to work with families like that. But we also work with families that want to argue about mask mandates. But, golden rule. In spring 2020, many child care centers necessarily shut down due to public health mandate to prevent the spread of COVID-19. But many child care centers, including mine, still maintained services for children of essential workers, adults in roles that directly inform the safety, health, and well-being of the community, first responders, nurses, doctors, custodial staff. Childcare is classified as essential work. For many childcare administrators, we were flying the plane while we were building it. COVID health screening protocols and grouping children and teachers in bubbles required more staffing, but labor shortages required a reduction in daily childcare hours available to families. Some parents were more understanding than others. This took a tremendous toll. Most programs, including mine, required a lot of overtime, and the related teacher burnout imperiled the system further. Some schools could not safely cope with teacher shortages across the nation. Some organizations never recovered financially and closed permanently. Childcare is the backbone of this nation's economy, and yet childcare staffing has reduced almost 20% since the beginning of the pandemic. The deep empathy of teachers carried us through. Many checked in on families frequently, especially those parents suddenly working remotely. Parents were overwhelmed with time management, rightly concerned about their careers, their research, their own students, work quality, tenure track, wage loss, job loss, public health. Work-life balance felt like an insult, as some faculty tried to teach online while simultaneously meeting the needs of their busy toddler at home and their elementary student in a Zoom class. I feel naive now, but for myself and for many of my colleagues across the nation, we were unprepared for the parent reaction. There were absolute heroes like the Vanderbilt mom that used her lab to make hand sanitizer for the school during the supply shortages. And there were beautiful expressions of appreciation, like catered lunches for teachers working overtime. But there were also some others that had a shortage of equanimity. But golden rule, I am grateful for my partners. Our program is still standing. It's even thriving. But it took profound resourcing by Vanderbilt to ensure the Acorn School stayed intact. An example is we immediately extended scholarships to families in distress as early as April 2020. Leadership took on the burden of COVID costs. Most preschools were forced to raise tuition mid-year, not ours. I didn't have to hunt for support at Vandy. It found me. And that's a value to reflect on. Who shows up? How we show up for others. My hero, Mr. Rogers, taught us to look for the helpers. The sense of community reinvigorated the sense of the possible, that we can manage this crisis too. I am defining community as a group that identifies and feels fellowship as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. I appreciate there are those, including at the federal level, working tirelessly on childcare solutions. Budgets are an expression of our values. Children deserve to be centered in the discussion of 21st century systems. Their teachers are not commodities, and their parents are not dollar signs. Relationships, they matter. The field of early childhood care and education is staffed nationally at approximately 97% by women, and disproportionately by women of color. There is an opportunity to lean into our vision for equity, diversity, and inclusion when we consider childcare solutions that deliver a system of dignity and respect for the teacher and scaffold tuition so that families can afford to access quality childcare. It matters who is encircled by our definition of community. Let's remember the golden rule, because children are watching.